It's this. It's this. It's this. Hold me now. I'm 6 feet from the edge and I'm thinking, yeah. Guys, are you kidding me? I've been singing like way too often for like Sammy Media to still be like a respectable figure. Hi everybody and welcome to Good Vibes FC. I'm Sammy Lewis coming to you from the Women's Game World Headquarters in Vermont.
And I'm Becky Sauerbrunn coming to you from Portland, Oregon.
Good Vibes FC is presented by our great friends over at Olipop. Use code TWG20 for 20% off at drinkolipop.com. Today in the podcast, we are going to recap the NWSL weekend action. We'll get into the Courage taking down Kansas City, Orlando's big comeback against Angel City. Then we're going to break down the newly announced NWSL 2. We'll also chat Champions League and the incredible comeback win that secured Arsenal's place in the Champions League final. And then we have an email from Rachel about walkout songs. But first, Becky, I'm so excited to be here with you. How was your weekend?
I'm excited to be here with you, obviously, Sam. I had a great weekend. I actually got to go to one of my friends' weddings, which, as you know, as a player, is so rare to be able to do in the middle of a season. And it was great. We flew to DC, and it's Zola's childhood friend, like elementary school friend. I met her in college, and then I kind of got adopted into the friend group, and she became my friend. And I got to go to her wedding, and it was lovely. Like, she looked so happy, so beautiful. And it just is kind of wild to think that I have missed so many weddings of my friends in the past that are not in the soccer world. And so it was really lovely to be able to go to one for the first time.
That is like so nice. I'm so happy. Was the weather in DC nice for the wedding?
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was 70s. It was sunny. She is Catholic, so it was like a full mass, and I have not been in a cathedral for a full mass in a really long time. So I was like, I'm getting really hungry. I forgot that these are like an hour and a half long. And then the ceremony was on the top of a like hotel roof, and it was kind of indoor outdoor, and it was lovely.
Cool. That sounds so fun. I also went to an event this weekend. It was not a wedding, but it was this like flower market here in Vermont, and I got a bunch of plants, and I got a cute new little planter. And my favorite thing that we got were these bamboos in these little glass bottles. And you can just leave the stick of bamboo right in the glass bottle. And then when it grows another little like stick on it, you just can trim it off and put that in its own glass bottle. And the girl who sold them to us was just like, yeah, you'll just like have unlimited bamboo. Just keep like trimming them.
So you're going to have a bamboo forest.
I'm sure it will take literal years for that to happen, but it was so cute and so fun. And like, what a cool event to just go and get like plants and planters.
So are any of these plants going into your garden, or these just are like aesthetic?
They're more like house plants.
Okay, gotcha.
There was like a bud vase bar where like she just had all of these like stems, and you picked out a bud vase, and then you picked out 5 stems, and you like made your own mini bouquet.
Oh, that sounds really nice. Look at you.
How cute is that? I literally, in my head though, I can't stop thinking about floral. Wait, what does she say? What's from The Devil Wears Prada when she goes florals for spring? Groundbreaking. Do you know what I mean? I've probably said that 10 times on this podcast in my life.
Do you say that to Pat, and Pat's just like, okay, Sam, we get it?
No, I don't say that to Pat because he wouldn't appreciate a Devil Wears Prada reference.
What?
Yeah.
He wouldn't?
No, I don't think so.
I feel like that's a beloved movie by everyone.
No, Pat's beloved movies are so out there.
Like, example, please.
Just like random, like, have you ever heard of this movie, My Cousin Vinny?
Of course.
Oh, like that. Like, that's a Pat movie.
Okay.
Like, just like, I don't know, like 90s boys movies.
Yeah, I get that. Zola likes those like awesomely bad movies, like Den of Thieves. Have you ever seen that? They just came out with a sequel because it became so awesomely bad, so many people wanted to watch it again.
No, I don't know about that. But I like notoriously, oh my God, I didn't even have Under a Rock planned, but I notoriously like haven't seen a lot of movies. And like Pat's family was like a movie family. For anybody who doesn't know, Pat's my husband. Zola is Becky's partner. I haven't seen a lot of movies. And so like we'll be coming across a movie. Like I don't even think I've seen like Goodfellas.
Oh, you've got some work to do.
I know. But the thing is that I'm just kind of like, I think that my family was just always like out at soccer. And so like we just like didn't have time to watch a lot of movies. But like when we did, it was like obviously Mary-Kate and Ashley movies, Billboard Dad, Holiday in the Sun, etc.
I feel like that was such a humble brag. Like we were too busy out enjoying life to be stuck inside watching movies.
Maybe it is a humble brag.
It's totally a humble brag.
Okay, well I'm gonna like have to make a list of movies I haven't seen, and then I'll report back to all of our listeners, and we'll do a proper Under a Rock segment.
I think that's great because there are some classics there that I'm sure you have not seen.
I know. It's like so embarrassing.
It's okay.
Okay, let's move on. I promise to report back about all the movies I haven't seen soon. I want to talk NWSL, Becky, and it's really hard to not start with the biggest upset of the weekend in the NWSL. North Carolina, prior to this weekend, they were the only team who had not won a game. They were sitting in last place. They took on the undefeated Kansas City Current, and then North Carolina is playing a lot of this game down a goal, but they come back to win in stoppage time thanks to a game winner from Ashley Sanchez. This was such an unreal comeback, such an upset of the league. It made me be like, oh my God, Chaos League is back. Like all this kind of fake talk about, you know, like the top just running away with it. I was like, oh no, not on the NWSL's watch. What was your reaction to hearing that the team in 14th place beat the team in first place?
So that happened on Saturday. So that was the day of the wedding. And so I got back from the reception with Zola to his like family house, and his mom was still up because she loves watching women's soccer. And she was like, you will never believe what just happened. And I gotta say, I was surprised, but I'm not shocked because I feel like North Carolina, it was only a matter of time before they found their groove. And I thought it was going to happen soon. I think what I was most surprised by was that they scored the tying and go-ahead goal in the last, like in the 90th and then 90th plus, which that to me was the most surprising part of it.
I know, literally so late in the game. And I feel like when I saw this, I was like, yeah, like that's North Carolina. Like I feel like this kind of old North Carolina, like maybe like spirit came back and was just like in all of the veteran leadership of the team. And they were just like, we're sick of losing. Like we don't want to do this anymore. There's this narrative about us being in last and not winning a game yet. And those were the players who really stepped up in this moment to like seal the game. Ryan Williams, who's usually an outside back. She's been on this team since 2018, but she's been playing a little bit higher up the field. She stepped up. She scored her first ever NWSL goal in this game. Veteran center back Kaylee Kurtz stepped up, scored a goal to tie it at 2-2. That was kind of off like a few crosses in after a corner kick. There were like a few services. Kaylee Kurtz turns in the box and scores, and like no one from Kansas City really stepped to her. That's actually, honestly, also, Becky, 2 defender goals.
And Sammy, you know I love me some defender goals. And I think it's really awesome that these veterans decided to take the game by the scruff of the neck and say, why not me? Like, even if I'm a defender, like, why can't I be the one to score the goal, the tying goal, the winning goal, whatever? And I think the most successful teams that I've ever played on have players that can do that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think those players in that moment, and again, it's like long-time courage players who were able to step up and do that. They were just like, yeah, like if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be me. And speaking of long-time courage players, the third goal, the game winner, longtime captain Denise O'Sullivan, was so instrumental in the build-up for this goal. She like turned Rocky Rodriguez on a dime, played through the midfield, played Brian Williams out wide, passed centrally to Ashley Sanchez. Sanchez finished it to seal the game. I like loved seeing this courage return to the win column. I think it was super exciting. And I just think that these veteran players were like fed up with the narrative. It bumped them right on up to 11th place. Not quite over the playoff line yet, but I think they're on the right track.
For sure. And I think we're still really early in the season. If you get a couple wins, just kind of like Portland, it'll just like shoot you up the ranking table. That turn though from Denise O'Sullivan was a thing of beauty.
I know.
And I think we've like all come to expect those kind of things from her. And I think it's become almost common to see her get herself out of these kind of situations. And I really hope that doesn't get overlooked, that what she does is like truly special. She is a master at her craft. And I think you're totally right. That third goal does not happen without Denise making that turn.
I know. I have been feeling so bad for like players who are having a great start to the season, but their team is sitting at the bottom of the table because it's just those storylines don't get told because you're not talking about goals or assists or wins when you're talking about those teams that are kind of struggling. And so I was really glad to see a player like Denise O'Sullivan, who is so much so like the heart and soul of the Courage, consistently the best player on the field for them, kind of like emerge and be like, no, we're doing this. We're getting this win. I'm going to be a huge part of it. And not to take any credit away from Ashley Sanchez, that was such a great finish. And actually minutes before, she shot from a similar place in the box and it got saved. So I think this was one of those, like, this is my second chance. I know I have to hit it a little bit wider, and she did. And so I was pumped for her. I did want to mention in the post-game interview, the Courage's head coach, Sean Nahas, credited the win to a great week of training and kind of allowing the team to have fun, which we all know when you're on like a losing streak, having fun at training can become kind of like a project. So I was happy to hear this. But Sean also said that it was key for him as a coach to be flexible and willing to change certain elements of strategy to get the win. He described himself as hard-headed, which I don't want Sean to be too tough on himself. Sean is like such a great guy. He was able to switch things up this game, and he admitted that members of his staff had been trying to get him to do that for a while. And so, Becky, I think a couple of those things were like maybe a little bit of a change in formation. Ryan Williams was definitely a little bit higher up the field. I think we saw like more numbers able to get forward. But I think what I want to know from you is like, this happened with your Portland team last season. You guys were like struggling to get wins. How important is it to change in those moments? Like, when do you know this isn't working, we should change it, or we should like stick with it?
I think first, as a head coach, you need staff around you that are not just yes people, and they won't just validate everything that you want to do. I think you need people that are going to ask really tough questions. They're going to challenge the head coach. They're going to offer up other solutions. And I think you really need a head coach that's willing to be challenged and willing to be a little bit vulnerable and willing to admit, you're right, I've been stubborn, I've been short-sighted. And these two things are huge and, in my experience, not very common. And there's been such a turnover in head coaches in the NWSL. And I think some of the mentality is, well, if I'm going to go out, I want to do it my way. And so they're very resistant to making these changes in a timely manner. Next, what's really important is you have these players that you really trust that have the gauge and pulse of the team, and that they're entrusted and feel psychologically safe enough to tell the head coaches like, hey, this isn't right, this is an issue, things are not going right on the field, off the field, whatever. And having that trust between player and staff, and that relationship, I think, is sacred, because like one breach of that trust, and I think entire locker room can be lost, and that's how seasons are lost.
For sure. And I do think that like time together is such a key component to having that trust. And I'll go back again and say these long-term players at the Courage who did change the game this past weekend do have a long-standing relationship with Sean Nahas, who's been with the club since it arrived in North Carolina. So have some of those players. And I think that trust that you're talking about is there so that team can go through a rough patch and not just throw away the whole season.
Sounds like it.
Well, go Courage, baby. I was pumped for them. I do love the Courage. The other big comeback game that I want to talk about was between Angel City and Orlando. Orlando was coming off a loss from last weekend, obviously very rare for them these days, and they went down 2-0 in this game this weekend thanks to goals from Angel City rookie Riley Tiernan, who now has 3 goals on the year, and midfielder Katie Zellum, an English international. This was Katie Zellum's first NWSL goal. And sometimes, Becky, I turn into Sammy Media on the weekends. I start asking around, is Orlando over? I asked the question. I said, they're down 2-0. Are they over? But Sammy Media has a tendency to jump to conclusions. And obviously, Orlando's reign is not over. Sammy Media was wrong. They came back in incredible fashion thanks to goals from who else but Marta and Barbara Banda. There was also, and I'm whispering this, an unfortunate own goal in there from Angel City. But again, I feel like this response from Orlando being down 2 goals is another example of like the core of this team, the veterans of this team. Not that Barbara Banda is necessarily a veteran. It's only her second year with Orlando, but I mean, isn't she just old reliable? They're just saying, like, we're not letting this slip away. They stepped up in those moments. I thought that was really, really impressive of Orlando to show that kind of like grit and attitude to fight back from being down 2-0. And I want you, Becky, to speak to some players you've played with. Like, who steps up in those huge moments? Like, who are those players that come to mind when you think like, yeah, obviously Marta is going to score right now. Like, obviously Denise O'Sullivan is going to turn in the midfield. Like, who are some of those players to you?
Well, I think it really goes back to those players who have that belief that it can be them that will make the difference, who in the hardest of times are the ones to put the team on their backs and carry them across the line. And yes, sometimes it's your star players, like for Orlando, and sometimes it's your vets, like what we just talked about with North Carolina. And then sometimes it's just a player who sees an opportunity to step into a space that others are afraid to step into. And that person will just be like, I can do this, watch me. And so I think it can be anybody. And if I think about players that I have always looked to and have always admired and been so impressed that they can just take these games and make them theirs, I think of Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, Kelly O'Hara, Lauren Holiday, Alyssa Nair, Heather O'Reilly. I feel like there are a lot of players that I've played with over the years, both club and country. Do you have any players in your mind?
I mean, my God, you saying Pino just brings me back to 2019, and it's just like, how do you just over and over just like score when we need you to score? I know it was a lot of PKs, but that's almost like, to me, scarier, because it's just like it is on you. Like, if you miss, like we had a chance to score and it was you and you missed, like Megan Rapinoe scoring all those PKs in the 2019 World Cup definitely stands out to me. I think I'll also, in my club career, Lynn Williams, Jess McDonald, Crystal Dunn, talk about stepping up. My most vivid memory in my whole life is Lynn Williams scoring that goal in the 2016 NWSL Final against the Spirit. It was a header. There was rumor, Becky, that the Spirit owner had already come down to half field to celebrate the win. And Lynn scored to tie it up. We went into penalty kicks. And I think about that. I just think about that run the Courage had. And I'm like, yeah, those players, the core players of the team who, like you said, they expect so much from themselves. They're not just going to roll over. They're going to take half chances. They're going to keep hustling. Like, those are the players you want, because those are the players that can bring you back from being down 2-0.
If I have any regrets from my professional career, is not getting to play in the NWSL with Lynn on my team. The fact that she's leading scorer, I think is she tied, or is she even in the lead for like most assists?
For all competition. Oh, yeah. I think she's still tied for most assists. And then for all competitions, she leads for scoring, yeah.
I don't think she's gotten enough credit. Like, I think as Sammy Media and Becky kind of Media, we need to really that is a story. Like, that is truly, truly amazing. Like, that is mind-boggling to me, obviously, as someone who didn't score or assist a whole lot. But I feel like I missed out on getting to really, truly experience Lynn in her element.
Lynn in her element is unstoppable. And you know what? I think you're right. I think Sammy Media's been sleeping on her best friend. She's got to wake up.
How dare us?
Wake up and sing the praises of Lynn Williams. Lynn Biondolo.
Oh, Sam. We're going back to that again?
Sorry, Marley. All right. Let's go back to this Angel City Orlando game. For Angel City, tough to let this one slip away, to have a 2-0 lead. I do think there was a momentum shift for them in this game when poor Alana Kennedy got hit in the face again and had to sub off. And for anybody out there who's not up to date with your women's soccer lore, Alana Kennedy, Australian midfielder, plays for Angel City. She's gone viral multiple times for checking out her facial injuries on the Jumbotron. Like, she gets nailed in the face and then she looks up to see what her face looks like and is obviously horrified by what she sees. I feel weird even commenting or borderline joking about this, because I truly just hope Alana is okay. Head injuries are obviously not a joke, and I feel really bad for her that this keeps happening. And what I will say, soccer reporting wise, is that when she had to sub off from this injury, I thought Angel City lost their footing.
That looked bad. And I've seen a lot of the memes. I've seen the injuries. I've had a lot of those injuries. And I feel like I'm not laughing. Stop laughing, Becky.
I know. You can laugh at me. I just don't want to laugh at Alana.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'll just laugh at you now. But when you broke your nose, and I feel like, was it against Ireland post 2019?
She's still just not quite right. She's just still a little bit crooked.
I have the most deviated septum ever. I can only breathe out of one nostril.
Oh my God. Yeah. What happened on mine, it was victory tour after the 2019 World Cup. We were playing at the Rose Bowl against Ireland.
It was awesome. Yeah.
And I literally just got like a whack just from a hand or a forearm to the nose. But knew immediately, when you just feel the gush.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just uh-oh, let me lean out, let me lay on my stomach, let me get this away from my uniform because I want to keep playing and I don't want to get blood on my uniform. And then, I think I actually did get subbed out, and we had to go in the back, and Doc Allen had to try to crack her back in.
Did he crack it back in?
It remains to be seen. I mean, it's not that bad, but I don't think it's as straight as it once was.
I love you checking out your
I can't
in the
tell.
camera of the computer.
I know. Look, my eyes are also crossed because I'm like looking at my nose.
I remember.
When has this happened? Well, this has happened to you, Becky. I have like vivid memories of this happening to you. What time stands out to you the most?
Oh, I mean, I broke my nose my first ever cap with the women's national team. We were in China for a tournament. We were playing Canada. It was Melissa Tancredi. She was trying to flick a ball in behind, and she like flicked my nose, and it was excruciating. And I thought I was okay. And then maybe 20 seconds later, you just start feeling the gush. And so I'm like walking myself off the field. And the goalkeeper coach is like, Becky, what are you doing? And I moved my hand away, and he saw my face and was like, oh my God. And so like you, went back in the locker room. Yeah. The doctor was like, look, we can set this now, or we can set it later at the hotel. But before you make your decision, just go look in the mirror. So I go over to the mirror and I look, and my nose is completely displaced. And I was like, just do it now. So it was one of those 1, 2 on 3. She did it on 2, obviously, because they do that. And just put it back in place. But I've had stitches when I played for Utah Royals, when we played Portland at Providence. I remember that very well. And then 2019 final against the Dutch Van de Donk. And I went up for a header, and she got me, and I have stitches in my eyebrows.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, that's why I missed the infamous swimming party that happened when we got back to New York.
The rooftop pool party.
While you were having so much fun, I was at the plastic surgeon having to get skin excised, and then my face sewed back up.
You didn't miss much, Becky. I don't really even recall.
I heard I missed a lot.
Yeah, okay. So the facial injuries, no joke. Shout out to Alana Kennedy for being a real champ about it. I genuinely hope she's okay because Angel City needs her. They really missed her out there, and they did lose to Orlando.
Yeah.
Okay. One other major storyline I want to get into from this weekend was the Spirits lost to Gotham. Gotham overall has been a little bit hot and cold, like not just this season, but literally just in the last week. They had lost to Portland 4-1 in a midweek game on Tuesday night. But then they came back to beat the Spirit 3-0 on the weekend. Like, the math isn't really mathing with that, but that's NWSL. Kind of a weekend of comebacks. I want to talk about Esther, the Spanish World Cup winner who scored 9 goals for Gotham last season. She scored another brace in this weekend's game, putting her on a run of 7 goals in the last 4 games. And I'm just like, what? Becky, what do you think it is about Esther, or just this Gotham team in general, that has her set up to score so much right now?
For Esther, I feel like it's the right place, the right time, the right finishes. She's the beneficiary of a lot of tap-in goals because I think she's very opportunistic. She trusts her teammates to put balls in dangerous spaces. She makes really good runs. I think it was the 3rd goal off the corner where she kind of darts in front of the near post zone and gets a head on it. And so to me, it's timing and just, she's on a great run of form.
Yeah, I was trying to do the math because technically Gotham have had 7 games. So it's actually pretty easy math, 7 goals in 7 games. And if she keeps that up across a 26-game season, that would be 26 goals on the season.
That'd be a lot of goals.
Yeah.
She's on track.
Yeah, the math was pretty straightforward. So I hope I did that right because it's just a goal a game. Okay, so back to the Spirit, who lost 3-0. They've been struggling with injury. Some good news from this past weekend, despite the loss, is that Croy Bethune made her return from that knee injury that kept her off the field since last August. It was such a joy to see her back on the field after such an unbelievable rookie season last year. She set so many records. She won Rookie of the Year. She won Midfielder of the Year. I'm really excited to see Croy back out there, and hopefully her return can bolster the Spirit a little bit during this time where they're dealing with a lot of injuries.
Yeah, it's a great time to get back, such a game changer, and it's probably going to take a little bit of time. Like you said, she's been out since August, but even just kind of the bolstering of team morale to get somebody back in these coming weeks, I think is going to be huge. And Sammy, speaking of Croy, you know how the NWSL posts on Instagram a lot of game day fits?
Yeah.
So there's one of Croy, and I think she's wearing True Religion jeans. And I have been known to wear True Religion jeans back in the 2000s. And are they back? I mean, I am not a fashion person, but you're younger than me, so I'm like, you must be better than I am.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that you should assume anything along those lines, but I would trust that if Croy is wearing them, it means they're back.
That's so true. That's so true. All right, well, I'll see if I can find him.
See if you can find them, Becky. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. The other results from this past weekend were a 1-0 win for Houston over Utah. The lone goal in that game was a great strike from distance from Delaney Sheehan. Then San Diego beat the Stars 3-0. Two of those goals came very late in the game, so maybe it was a little bit closer than that. Bay and Seattle tied 1-1. Portland, Louisville tied 3-3. And rookie Jaden Lee Perry stepped up to take a PK for the Thorns 10 minutes deep into stoppage time to tie it back up and saved the point for them. I felt like that was a huge moment. And this was Jaden Lee Perry's second goal on the season as a rookie, with the first coming in that midweek game against Gotham that saw 3 Portland rookies score their first NWSL goals. And so that actually brings us to our Olipop Gut Check of the Week. It is time now for our Olipop Gut Check of the Week. We're doing a rookie heat check, Becky. What do you got?
I got classic root beer.
Oh, yeah. I've got vintage cola. Olipop Gut Check of the Week. We're doing a rookie heat check. We're 6 weeks into the season. What rookies are standing out to you the most, Becky?
All right, well, I'm going to go defenders because
classic.
Shocking.
Gotta do it.
So first, Lily Reel from Gotham, rookie out of UCLA, playing outside back. So for her first ever start for Gotham, she scored an own goal 2 minutes into the game. But from there...
Do you remember that? The poor thing.
I know. Yeah. I mean, as a center back who has made plenty of mistakes, it always hurts your heart. But since then, she has been a huge part of Gotham's success, connecting passes to attackers, serving up masterful crosses, even scoring for Gotham. Great. And just this weekend, she had a great assist. So I think she's one to look out for. Another defender, like you just talked about, is Jaden Perry from Portland. 2 goals in 2 games. And those goals have been PKs, which as a rookie, like that says something when a team is like, hey, we are in a part of our season where we're not really winning games, and to have a rookie step up to take these PKs in some big matches, I think says quite a bit. And I've watched a lot of Portland games, and so I've seen her play evolve from preseason to now. And of course, mistakes are going to be made. Like just in this last game, she made a mistake that led to a goal, but then she winds up scoring a PK. So I think for these rookies to see what their potential really is, mistakes are going to happen. It's how you adapt and evolve from those mistakes.
I actually love that. And I love that you pointed out both the rookies that you named have made mistakes and they've recovered really well from them. And I think that that's the sign of a rookie that will go on to have a longer, successful career is like, it's the NWSL. You can't have a perfect game. You can't have a perfect season. That's been proven like year after year. It's how you respond to mistakes, losses, goals against, own goals. I think that's really smart, Reebs.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. And to give a little bit of love to some attackers and Portland, I'm going to go with Kaya Hanks. And I think with a team that's missing Sophia Wilson, Morgan Weaver, the team was always going to need somebody who could make things happen. I think Kaya has done exactly that. She is so masterful at taking people on. She brings a lot of energy and excitement whenever she's on the field. And I think she's starting to get that like scoring vibe going on as well. And I think that's going to make a huge difference for Portland.
Okay, well, some Portland rookies to look out for sure. I agree with all of those. I've been raving about Maddie Darlene on Seattle since I saw her play in person last weekend during the Cascadia rivalry. I just thought she was the player my eye kept going to. When she'd get on the ball, she just was so crafty 1v1. She set herself up. She's one to definitely look out for. So heat check is on Maddie Darlene for me for sure. And then I have to shout out Riley Tiernan. I know that Angel City lost to Orlando this weekend, but Riley Tiernan has been on a tear. I saw her play in person as well in Angel City's opening game when I was at that game. I thought she was all over the field. And then the goal she set herself up for this weekend against Orlando, Kylie Nadner, formerly Kylie Strom for Orlando, is a really good defender. She's a really good outside back. And Riley Tiernan kind of did her dirty throughout the game. Like on her goal, she kind of cut it back and sent her defender flying down the field, cut inside, shot near post. It was like such a great shot and kind of like shocking that she would do that and that it would go in. But I just think that she's playing with a lot of confidence. She's setting herself up for chances. She's a hard worker and she's part of this like youth movement on Angel City. So Riley Tiernan is another one for me to have everybody looking out for.
I agree with that. I think you're right that she catches the eye. And to me, it is the work ethic. Like you said, she is all over the field. The shift that she puts in, the amount of time that she is pressing a back line or a defender, I'm like, wow, she must be terrible to play against.
Yeah, and she's also got that like young energy. So she's just running 15,000 meters a game or whatever it is.
And it's nothing. She's like, okay, let's go party and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, all right, you girls got it.
I didn't even have youth energy when I was a youth.
Becky, you're telling me. You're telling me. All right, that was our Olipop gut check of the week. The rookies are crushing it. Please let us know in the comments who we should keep our eyes on because the rookies are doing so great and I want to know who everybody else has their eyes on. Before we move on to some Champions League chat, Becky, we need to talk about this new NWSL Division 2 league. So last week it was announced that the NWSL has applied to have a second division league starting next year in 2026. This Division 2 league would kind of fill a gap that exists right now in the pyramid. We have so many players who need a little bit of transition time to develop into their full potential. There are limited roster spots available in the NWSL. So for some of those younger players struggling for playing time right now, it seems like a Division 2 team might be the best place for them to grow. But this announcement came really quickly after another league, the WPSL, announced their idea to also launch a Division 2 league. And then, as we know, there's also another fully professional Division 1 league currently in existence in the U.S., the USL Super League, recently renamed to the Gamebridge Super League. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show. I just got a little bit confused with this, Becky, because I was like, obviously, one, is this good? And then obviously, two, I was just kind of like, do we need this many different systems going on? Is this a good thing? Should we be celebrating or should we be like, what's up?
I don't even really know what to feel because I'm also like you, very confused. And I think I need to do more research and have someone smarter than me sit me down and explain all of this. I will say that my initial thought when I heard, and maybe this is unfair, I still need to think through a lot of things, was why not use these resources to create and really build out NWSL academies and academies where players and parents aren't getting priced out and talent doesn't get priced out, where first team tactics and values, they're all streamlined through the age group so that jump from amateur to collegiate or semi-professional to professional isn't so huge. And that's not just for the players either. That's for coaching and to think of the opportunities for coaches and mentorship within these academies. And that also goes for the experience that medical or performance staff can get. So their jump to professional care isn't so huge because I still think of some of the NWSL teams that I've played on where it's not really fully staffed out. And some ATCs, this is their first year out of, school working. And so to have these opportunities to really gain some hands-on experience through these academy systems, I think would be pivotal for healthcare professionals, for admin, for team ops. And from there, I feel of course, having, an NWSL 2 or a Division 2 team would be amazing, but I think that organically can happen. But I guess my head just immediately went to youth development and all those formative years where a young player really begins to learn and love the game.
I think that's totally fair, Becky, to ask that question. There does seem to be some options for players who are not ready to play in the NWSL. And those could include playing in another league or maybe even reconsidering going to college. And I know that not every pipeline is right for every player and you want to develop in certain ways. And I know it's complicated, but I really like your idea of using these resources to set up an academy that will create that more seamless transition from being a youth player into being a pro and not have so much jumping around, so much immediate full immersion. So I just feel your idea makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know that we've talked a lot about talent identification. And I just think with so many young women not staying in sport for a myriad of reasons, having these academies that are fully resourced, not just with on-field resources, but off-field resources too, when it comes to mental health and all these things about a body changing. And that's why a lot of young girls will leave the sport because there's such a perception on women that they have to be so perfect so young. And to be able to break these, like these things that we get ingrained with from a young age that are societal, that could be available to these young people through these academies. I'm just like, wow, I feel like there's some just really missed opportunities. And like you said, there are other opportunities already for that kind of gap. It could be college. It could be, like you said, this Gainbridge Super League. It could be going overseas. I mean, so yeah, I still have a lot to think about, but yeah, that's where my mind went.
I have a lot to think about too. Sammy Media has to do her homework. I will say that I have been reading and rereading this article in The Athletic by Meg Linehan, who perhaps is this person who is smarter than us that can teach us. I really recommend that article, and I think, Becky, we should circle back to this subject in a few weeks when we've had some time to absorb a little bit more about it. I do just want to say, Jeff Kassouf reported via ESPN that if all proposed leagues, including, that league I mentioned, the WPSL, and this NWSL 2 league, if all leagues go ahead as planned, the number of women's professional teams in the U.S. could jump from 12 in 2023 to roughly 50 by the end of 2026. It's obviously a huge growing opportunity. If everything is sustainable, if everything is professional, safe for the players, if this is even possible, that's amazing. And I think so many more playing opportunities is a good thing. I am a little bit confused. I do need to learn a little bit more, and I'm approaching this with a measured attitude, Becky, like a mature media mogul.
As one should.
Okay, we're going to do our homework, but we do need to take a quick break, and then we're talking Champions League when we get back. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so in addition to all of that NWSL action this weekend, we also had the second leg of the Champions League semifinals, and oh my goodness, it was such a goal fest. Barcelona beat Chelsea 4-1 again, putting the aggregate on their semifinal at 8-2. And Arsenal came back from a 2-1 deficit against Lyon to win their second leg 4-1, finishing with an aggregate score of 5-3, a little bit closer, but still a goal fest. Becky, this win for Arsenal puts them back in the Champions League final for the first time in 18 years.
Go Gunners. I actually got to watch a bit of both of these games Sunday morning before my flight home. So I was really, really fortunate to see so many goals.
I mean, both games were crazy in like totally different ways. I want to talk about Arsenal's run this season a little bit. If we can go all the way back to last fall, if you remember, Arsenal started off very slow in the WSL under former head coach Jonas Eidevall. They started the season off with just one win in their first 4 matches. Then they had to part ways with Eidevall because it wasn't going well. And since then, Renee Slagers has taken over. They've won 13 of their last 15 WSL games, moved into second place in the WSL, and now find themselves having overcome 8-time Champions League winners Lyon to secure a place in the Champions League final. I feel like I, for one, would not have guessed that this would happen, Becky. Would you have said last fall that Arsenal would be in the Champions League final?
Well, as somebody that loves Arsenal, both their men's and women's teams, and I've done so for many years, I know that heartbreak can be followed by miracles. So I'm happy, maybe a little surprised, but not shocked.
All right. I think that is fair. I'm kind of excited. Like, it's fun to see an English team in the Champions League final. The player I can't help but keep thinking about when I seeing her play in this game is Chloe Kelly. Like, Chloe Kelly was, as we know, we've told this story a lot of times, she was transferred to Arsenal during this past January transfer window because she wasn't playing a lot for Man City under Gareth Taylor. She wanted to make the Euros roster. She was asking for a transfer. Man City wouldn't let her go. They finally let her go to Arsenal. And now here she is after all of that and what must have been honestly like a really brutal couple of seasons at Man City. She's about to play in the Champions League final. Talk about a roller coaster.
Yeah, and like just starting the second leg of a semifinal Champions League match, like clearly she's highly valued by Arsenal. And I think sometimes a move like this can be the difference in a career. And I hope she feels really validated because I know it was probably really tough for her to have to go public and kind of use that leverage to get the transfer to happen. But I hope she's feeling really good about it. And I think they showed the Arsenal bench after she got subbed off and they were kind of waiting for the final whistle. And you just see the joy on her face. And she just looks so happy.
I am really happy for her. I did play with Chloe when I played at Man City, and she's like just so committed to her craft. And is somebody who, like, this will be so meaningful for. So I'm really, really thrilled for her. Chloe Kelly is just one piece of a really remarkable Arsenal attack. I like kind of can't believe I'm saying this. I feel like I've been like kind of doubting Arsenal like all year.
It sounds like it.
I know, but it's incredible. I mean, Arsenal's attack spearheaded by Mariona Caldente, Alessia Russo, and Caitlin Ford, who actually all scored in Sunday's second leg. I do think that it's Arsenal's defense, including U.S. Women's National Team outside back, Emily Fox, who have a really tough task ahead in the Champions League final. That's trying to stop Aitana Bonmati, Salma Parayuelo, Alexi Putellas, and Claudia Pina from scoring against them, which even Chelsea's defense just could not seem to do throughout their semifinal in both legs.
Yeah, Lyon's attack was surprisingly lackluster during the match. When you look at the talent that they have, I think we all expected a lot more from them. And yeah, Barca's attack will be way more dynamic and efficient and challenging and all of those things. So I think that Arsenal defense really needs to be like, okay, we just did that against Lyon, but Barca is 1, 2, 3 steps higher, and that is going to be a different test. And so, like, let's learn, but like, let's expect that it's going to be way more difficult in the final.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right, Becky. It's like Barca is a different test. Like, it's like, I'm disappointed for Chelsea. Like, I would have loved this to be Chelsea's year to go through. First year under Sonia Bonpastor. Obviously, my future sister-in-law plays for Chelsea. I would have loved for them to win, but Barcelona were just like so good. We saw Naomi Girma back in the field for Chelsea, but even she, who Emma Hayes has called the best defender in the world, she couldn't help Chelsea stop Barcelona. And that to me was just like, there was this one goal from Claudia Pina that just had me be like, Barcelona is so good and I don't know if anybody can beat them.
I mean, watching the game and just the things that they do and the vision that they have and how well they work off each other, it really is beautiful to watch.
Look, I'm getting like carried away. This is typical Sammy media. In 2 weeks, I'll be like, I knew Arsenal had it all along. But I just watched Barcelona and I'm like, they play each other under pressure, but they're not under pressure. Like their definition of being under pressure is like a lot different than mine was. Like they don't need that much space. They don't need that much time. They can play a small pass. They can play 6 3-yard passes and solve the pressure. But you know what I mean? Like they can play numbers down. They're just so good on the ball. It was like kind of overwhelming to watch. And then the finishing, the combination play, the execution, it was just really, really incredible. Sammy Media wants me to make a prediction. I think if I had to make a prediction, I would say that I do believe the American in me is like anything can happen on any given day, especially in a final. It's just going to take a lot to beat Barcelona. It's going to take a lot, and that's what I'll say.
Okay, so you're not actually giving a prediction.
I'm not actually doing anything.
So you really are media.
No, look, if pressed, I think Barcelona's going to win, but anything can happen on any given day. What do you think?
I agree, but I am going to go with Arsenal.
Whoa!
Why? I'm going for the upset.
I love that. I love that, Becky. And you know what? We can continue this back and forth because the Champions League final is in just a few short weeks on May 24th. And you and I, Becky, will be going live after the game on the Women's Game YouTube channel.
I'm so pumped for that. That's going to be so great.
So it's Sam versus Becky, Barcelona versus Arsenal. I literally can't wait. So everybody, please take a minute and make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. And that way you will not miss it when we go live after the Champions League final. With that, we do need to take one more quick break. And then we'll be back for more news and an email from Rachel. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Good Vibes FC. All right, it's time to see what's happening all over the soccer world. Over in England, we're coming down to the last few games of the Women's Super League. This weekend will serve up match day 21 out of 22. But if you haven't been watching this league yet, it's a great time to jump in. There's only a couple weeks left. Only the top 3 teams qualify for the Champions League next year. And the drama of this weekend can only make these teams hungrier to get their chance to play in Europe. At the top of the table, you've got Chelsea, who could clinch the league title as early as this Wednesday. They have a midweek game because they played Champions League on the weekend. And then there's Arsenal and Manchester United in second and third place, respectively. However, we shouldn't count fourth place Man City out just yet. They can still qualify for Champions League if they keep winning and that third place Man United stumbles.
Yeah, but unfortunately, one thing that has really held Man City back from winning the season is a slew of injuries to their top players. Bunny Shaw, Mary Fowler, striker Viv Medma, who is now sidelined again due to a hamstring injury she suffered in a game while playing for her home country, the Netherlands. In an Instagram post last week, she pleaded with soccer officials to carefully reconsider the league and international schedules of players, highlighting how playing so many games so close together pose serious risks to player health. And Sam, she's got a point. I mean, we are playing in way more competitions. Are the resources going at the same rate as these competitions? Like, really, it is a little scary and something that does need to be addressed.
I completely agree. I actually heard Tobin Heath talking about this on her podcast, The Recap Show, because she was talking about World Sevens football, which is one of those new tournaments. It's going to be small-sided. It's actually taking place the week of Champions League, and they announced some clubs that were going to participate. And I think that this actually kind of goes hand in hand with what we were saying earlier about Viv is right, and you're right, that those players who are playing all the minutes for club and all the minutes for country are playing too much. They're playing, their training load, playing load, the calendar is too packed. But there is a group of players who are maybe sitting on the bench or maybe not getting called into international duty. And where are the opportunities in tournaments for them? And I think Tobin was saying that World Sevens might be that like, if we can use moments like World Sevens or CONCACAF Champions Cup or an open cup style tournament to get minutes and get opportunities and playing at a high level for these younger players who we may be being like, should you be an NWSL 2 player, that we could actually like use those competitions to like level out the overload on these players like Viv, who are doing kind of double duty playing for club and country all the time.
That's a great call. And I mean, that goes back to these teams and the staffs making the decisions to then play these players instead of your club and country overloaded players to play even more minutes. So like, I feel like there are opportunities for these players. It's just the decision has to be made to allow them to be the ones to play in them. Well,
I'm definitely sending love to Viv. I am devastated to see her injured again. For such an incredibly special player, it feels like a loss for, of course, her and also for all of us, for her team to not get to see her play week in and week out. So I hope she feels better soon. In other WSL news, Crystal Palace have been relegated with their 7-1 loss against West Ham this weekend. It's confirmed that they'll go down to the championship for next season. This was their first ever season in the Women's Super League, and with only 2 wins and a -42 goal differential, hopefully Crystal Palace can regroup in the lower league and get some more support from the club. Closer to home here in the States, the USL Super League, we mentioned this a little bit earlier. That's the only other top-tier Division I professional women's soccer league here in the USA. They actually sold their naming rights for a reported 7 figures to financial services company Gainbridge. Now the league will be officially known as the Gainbridge Super League. I was trying to figure out, Becky, if this was like crazy or not. But this is more common in Europe. Like if we think about the Barclays Super League, which, I mean, maybe we're not running around calling it the Barclays League, but it's fairly common to see in Europe. But this is a first for a U.S. soccer league and another sign of the growth of women's soccer here in the States. So I think what I want to see next is the Olipop NWSL.
I mean, it just seems like a natural next step.
I know. And you know what? I know people at Olipop. I know people at the NWSL. Maybe I can agent the deal and Sammy Agent is born.
Can you also be Sammy Agent and Sammy Media, or is that a conflict?
Sammy can be whatever she wants to be.
And another sign of that growth in the news is that NWSL's Bay FC will make history this summer when they play Washington Spirit in Oracle Park, home to the San Francisco Giants, on August 23rd. This will be the first time women's professional sports teams play at the park.
That's pretty sick. The Chicago game at Wrigley was so awesome last year, so I'm excited about this.
Yeah, didn't they have like their best attendance at Wrigley Field?
I think they had like 35,000 people there.
Sick.
I know, so sick. I want to go to this game. And finally, we wanted to say congratulations to Lauren Holiday, U.S. women's soccer legend, who has announced that she and her husband, Drew, are joining the North Carolina Courage's ownership group. World Cup winner, Olympic gold medalist, and now team owner. It sounds like the Courage are in really good hands, so I'm excited for everybody.
Honestly, anything that Lauren Holiday and Drew Holiday want to do, I'm in for. Like, what
Same.
Good people to have involved in your organization.
Same. I'm like Sammy owner. I'll join.
You want me to join? I'll join.
What's the buy-in? A couple of cases of Olipop? I got it. I can do it.
You know people.
Okay, let's go over to the inbox here. We got an email from Rachel that says, I just listened to the Good Vibes episode and it made me laugh as always. I have to say that sadly, when I think of the song Good Vibrations, I do think of the Beach Boys song, probably because my dad was a big fan and subjected me to their music a lot. I am still very familiar with the Marky Mark version, and I wanted to give you another fun fact about Mark Wahlberg. In addition to him being Marky Mark, he was also briefly a member of New Kids on the Block, but he left the band before they got famous. Time out on Rachel's email. Becky, did you hear the drama about Good Vibrations and Mark Wahlberg from last week's episode of Good Vibes?
Yes, and I also thought of the same song that you and Lynn thought of.
Oh, thank God. I was going to say.
Even as the elder member of this trio, I also thought of that song.
That's what I was going to say, exactly.
Yeah.
Did you know that Mark Wahlberg is Marky Mark?
Yes, I did know that. That I was disappointed in you two for not knowing.
Yeah. It sounded like Lynn kind of knew.
Kind of.
She's just a good friend and she was helping me out.
Okay, well, there you go.
Okay, back to Rachel's email. I have a question that I've been meaning to send you for a while. I was in charge of making the walk-up music playlist for my 8-year-old son's Little League team. Sammy Media would love to hear that walk-up playlist. And each kid on the team got to pick their own walk-up song. This got me thinking, even though soccer doesn't really have walk-up music for players, if they did, what would you want your walk-up song to be for when you enter the pitch in a soccer game? Thanks for always making me laugh and helping me get in my soccer fix. Also, you should do a live show in DC with the Spirit. Rachel, maybe we should. Rachel, thank you so much for writing in. I am now panicking about what song I'm going to pick as my walk-up song. Becky, can you go first?
Well, I love this question, and I have, in fact, thought about this before. So it could be two things. It could be, and this is for the video gamers out there, the sound in like the original Zelda when you unlocked a new room or like found a treasure chest. It's like, doo-doo-doo-doo. It would be that. Or it would be like the opening guitar in the Foo Fighters Hero song.
Oh my God, you just inspired me.
Good.
But I don't want to change the subject to me too soon. Can you, like, I don't think I know. I think I need to like, hear that.
Don't even ask. Don't even try.
The song is called Hero.
Yeah.
Heroes.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah. I just need to hear, like, how it goes a little bit.
Right? How good is that?
That's good.
Everyone's going to be nodding their heads.
That's good. All right. Mine is going to be, I am literally so tingly and so excited about this. I don't know if you're on, I'm just on Instagram Reels. Like, I can't do TikTok. I can't do another app. Like, I appreciate it, but like, I just get them 3 weeks later on Reels. And the Creed remix that's going right now, do you know what I'm talking about? It's this. Hold me now. I'm 6 feet from the edge and I'm thinking, yeah.
Okay, you found it. There it is.
Guys, are you kidding me? I've been singing like way too often for like Sammy Media to still be like a respectable figure. But like, what are you going to do?
Or maybe that makes you more respectable.
I think so. Well, Rachel, anyways, you did get me to sing a remix of a Creed song publicly. So that's your answer. Thank you so much for the email. And don't forget, anybody can send us a question, you guys. Anybody can send us a question. We're available. Just send us an email at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com and you could have us singing other types of songs. Okay, Becky, sadly, this is the end of the show. Just about time to wrap it up once Sam starts singing. But before we go, we have to leave our listeners with a good vibe.
My good vibe goes back to the wedding. And Sammy, I think we've talked about it before, where you retire from something that's kind of all-encompassing. Your friends, they're your teammates, you see them every day, and then all of a sudden you don't have that anymore. And this was a realization for me, like, oh, I do have people outside the soccer world that I love and do love me. And so it was really great getting to spend time with them again, because it's people you don't get to see or talk to every single day, but when you see them, it's like no time has been gone. And so being adopted by them into their friend group and just seeing how close-knit and how much they love each other, it was just really lovely.
That is such a good vibe, Becky. I'm so happy that you had that this weekend. That's amazing.
Thank you.
My good vibe, I wanted to tell everybody about some pottery that I've been doing, because I haven't talked about that in a while. On Sunday night, I went to my pottery studio. I've been doing my chores, doing my work trade, and I have decided recently that I want to make butter bells.
What's that?
Okay, so they probably have some other names, but they're like something you keep on your counter, and it's like basically 2 cylinder containers. One fits inside the other with like a little bit of a lid. And the bottom container has a little water in it. And the top container you lift out and it's hollow and you have butter in it. And then the butter is at room temperature so you can easily spread it. But when you put it down and like the water creates like a seal so that it's not just like sitting out, it's like vacuum sealed.
That is genius. And Sam, I don't know if you know this about me, but I have such a pet peeve that things that should be spreadable that aren't spreadable.
Butter. So I'm not like a pottery whiz, but I can make cylinders, everybody. I can make cylinders. So I started trying to make cylinders and lids, and I'm going to, it's going to take a few like months to make them the right size to fit together, sort out like what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, get them fired, get them glazed, get them fired again, etc. But when I do, Becky, you'll be on my list to give a butter bell to.
Oh, please do. I was just going to ask, like, once you master the craft, please send it my way.
I am going to have to put a Good Vibes joke nickname on there for you. So I will be thinking about that for the next few months while I make them.
I don't know if that's enough time, Sam.
I think it is. And I think people will probably help me out over email and tell me how I should decorate Becky's butter bell. But it's probably just
so
gonna be
true.
Cats.
Kitties.
Okay, everybody, that sadly is it for this week's episode of Good Vibes. That was so much fun. I had the best time. I would like to remind everybody to please subscribe to our podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and also please make sure that you're subscribed on our YouTube channel. If you are listening to this on audio, you can watch it, and it's really fun to watch it. So next time, maybe try listening to it, watching it on YouTube. We're also on social media, Women's Game MIB, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky.
You name it.
You name it, we're on it. If you missed our episode last week of Friendlies with Meredith Beck from the North Carolina Courage, I highly recommend it. It was a wonderful interview. And coming up later this week, we have Sarah Gordon from Angel City.
Oh, that'll be a great one.
It was really great, Becky. She's awesome. We had so much fun chatting, and I'm excited for everybody to hear it. You can listen to it wherever you hear your podcast. And with that, I will leave you all with that. Goodbye.
I'm Becky Sauerbrunn.
And I'm Sam Mewis. Love you guys.
Love ya.